Speaking of Superman, there is a ongoing conspiracy that does seem like it's about to be fleshed out in the upcoming Superman movie. First and foremost, if you don't know, Superman typically is used as a character to display true Americanism. That's why typically, Superman doesn't do well outside of the US box office due to how American certain themes within Superman is. This happens in all forms of Superman as well, except the original. And hence why I think this upcoming Superman movie is more of a homage of the original, trying to avoid that. But regardless of the fact, there are scenes in this trailer that kind of showcase what that American trope is, i.e. this scene, right? Based off the imagery within this scene as well as what we see on like live media, we can assume that this shot is taken in the Middle East. However, the little kid within this shot is raising a banner showing the Superman icon, also weirdly praying for Superman to save him, and not like a religion. That kind of sent Reddit and Twitter into this wormhole, and this small creator on YouTube kind of embodied that whole sentiment in one video, as well as show how, James Gunn is not necessarily stealing the storyline from another artist, but it is heavily influenced by just how this YouTube is heavily influenced by another artist.
Also so significant that it might have just revealed the entire plot for Superman. And
this creator is Ty Moody. I don't think. He almost got 5K, so go ahead and like, subscribe. Let me go ahead and subscribe because I do watch his videos, like this video. But he goes on to flesh out why his theory could be confirmed. I don't got 14 minutes to go through this whole thing. If you want to watch the whole video, go ahead. It's linked down below. But he was bringing up points of what we kind of talked about beforehand on this channel, which is how involved is the current state of America in real life influence this movie, as well as where does the stories that spark James Gunn creativity. Two things he pulled out of this video was Superman versus the elites and this country. I don't know that deep about that country. He goes in depth about it, but I wanted to focus more on the political aspect that James Gunn's trying to tell. And in my head, even though this is the Middle East and Superman is going to be involved in breaking up the Middle East and whatnot, I think more what most likely is occurring is James Gunn is trying to tell us his opinion on like the Ukraine and Russia that is going on right now in reality.
And now to the latest on the war in Ukraine. A British national defending Ukraine has reportedly been captured by the Russian military.
How this works is, if you don't know about Ukraine and Russia, Ukraine is being impeded on Russia due to Russia previously owning Ukraine and Ukraine gain its independency and do not want to go back to Russia. But now that is the conflict right now. Russia's saying, we used to own you. You coming back over here because we need some of your resources. And Ukraine saying, I don't want to be owned. We can take care of ourselves. Same thing that is being foreshadowed in the upcoming Superman movie. And by the way, we was correct. Creature Commandos is basically a prequel to Superman, and it's going to be tied directly into it. That's why James Gunn wrote both projects. But in the Creature Commandos, there is an ongoing conflict in two warring countries in the Middle East. One saying that they want their independency, and the other saying that we used to own you and you got to fall back in line. Not to mention the mix of metahumans as well in here gives it another aspect. But I think the metahumans, stay with me right now, I think the metahumans are basically the nuclear weapons in our world, okay? Superman would be the US nuclear weapons, okay? These little random side characters in this Middle East country would be their nuclear weapons. And it's kind of interesting when you look at that aspect of it and not just focus on like the bright colors and people punching each other in super fast speeds, all right? But regardless of the fact, how Superman get kind of in the mix of things is because he's not necessarily following along with the US government intentions. The U.S. government probably benefit from that ongoing war in the Middle East within the Superman world. But Superman, looking at it as an objective person like most Americans do, is like, hey, man, that's messed up. The only thing that's different from us and Superman is Superman actually has the ability to change it. The last piece of this video is not necessarily highlighting those storylines, but is asking the question, will the American public find this too political? Now, most people who got like that Superman brain ain't even gonna think that deep. But the people who are not really in the mix of these Superman movies and like typically read more than the average consumer and can see the innuendos that he's dropping layer by layer, I think they're gonna walk away with this movie also feeling like they grabbed something from it, unless they have a strong opinion on the matter, as well as the fact that James Gunn lifted the whole movie. Like, let me fast forward to this part of Ty's video. Like, he shows shot for shot how the Superman movie and Superman the Elite is very similar, even to how the news is covering it within the world.
Made a movie, Superman versus the Elite. And if you think I'm reaching, allow me to prove it.
As we've been reporting for the last few weeks, diplomatic efforts between Bialya and neighboring Pakistan have collapsed.
So that kaiju fight takes place right after the news broadcast that we watched. And no, I didn't bring it up to be like, oh, look, they both have kaiju fights, because the kaiju itself is actually rather unimportant. But what is important about the kaiju fight is that it serves to introduce Superman to the other heroes, but also show the contrast between his ideals and their ideals. For example, we do see Superman fighting the kaiju, but also saving civilians, while the other heroes prioritize fighting, and that's it. We don't see them save any people. And just to clarify, yes, we do see Superman saving a civilian during Gunn's trailer, because if you take a look at this frame right here, you'll see a kaiju foot right in the back. And
why is she walking and Godzilla right behind her? Like, that don't make no sense. Unless, like, this creature literally blips into the middle of the city, but at the same time, Superman that fast to get to that girl at that point? Or is she just, like, mute, deaf, and blind? Like, I don't get how that works.
look at this frame right here, you'll see a kaiju foot right in the back.
This is the key to why I feel like he might be on to something, that James Gunn literally is heavily influenced by this animated movie. It's like shot for shot.
Is to get a pep talk, because the whole world seems to be against Superman and what he represents. Kind of like this scene in Superman versus the Elite.
I don't think that I make them feel safe anymore. The way I do things.
Clark, when people are scared, they have a tendency to hop on a bandwagon before they see who's driving it. But when they wise up, and believe me, they will, what matters is that you'll be there for them, leading by example, just like always.
Okay, so James Gunn's pep talk scene might look similar, but
yeah, man, tell me what y'all think about the matter.
No, what are you waiting for? Do it! Make your dreams come true! Just do it!